everyone, welcome to another Something Bad Thursday where I talk about something that I don't particularly care for or that I think is bad. or that I think is, sometimes cringeworthy. And as you can see by the title of this video, as well as something that I will try to find with a thumbnail that can resemble my dislike for commercials, then that's what I'll be talking about. Yes, commercials. My gosh, commercials. And I'm not saying all commercials are bad. Not all of them are bad. I know there's some good ones out there. There's some clever ones, that come along. Like maybe on the Super Bowl, they'll try to make something that's funny, or interesting, or have some kind of intelligence to it. But the majority of the time, commercials I just find to be so unbelievably just, they're just bad, but bad in so many different ways, and sometimes all of these things sort of together. One, a lot of them are annoying, like people. It's either like people just yelling at you on the screen, people being very kind of like forceful, people being fairly over eccentric when they don't need to be. And again, it's not fun to watch. Like it takes away, from the enjoyment of the show, especially when they cut to a commercial when something pivotal is supposed to be going on. It's like after this commercial break, and you're like, gosh darn it, no, why do you have to go to commercial now? So yeah, I think there's just an annoyance factor to them already by their sheer existence of interrupting something that you're watching, and also by the fact that, a lot of the times when they do show up, they don't try to be like the show, that you're watching. They don't try to be approachable or interesting. They just want to annoy you. I mean, they just want to like just drill into your head how annoying they are. There's also, I think, a huge lack of intelligence on a lot of commercials too. Like you'll see things on commercials that you think, wow, this cost millions of dollars to make. Like, how in the world is that possible? Like, how can that be? Like, because there's like no thought, there's like no effort into it. A lot of the Geico commercials are guilty of this. Oh my gosh, those Geico commercials. There's a lot of local commercials that kind of do this stupid thing too, where they bring something, and again, it's not even local too, it's national as well with like Geico and things like that. They'll bring in things that have nothing to do with Geico or have nothing to do with the commercial that you're watching. Like they'll bring in an ape, and the ape makes no sense. The ape has no context into being in the commercial. There's no reason why the thing needs to be there. It doesn't tie things together. And for perfect example of the Geico commercial with the pig, like their logo is already another animal, a gecko. Why do they need to have a pig in there trying to make really bad jokes? I mean, there's no point, and I mean, it's just so unbelievably lame. And I think that's just a huge issue, and as to why a lot of these commercials really just don't work. And again, I think the reason why a lot of them are popular is kind of dumb, is because they're dumb. Similar to why, a lot of the YouTube people that are pretty, high up there on the subscriber base don't have a whole lot of interesting things to say. Now, again, that's not to say that my channel is is Jesus or anything perfect at all. But at the same time, they just want to annoy you. They just want to be in your face. And I just find that to be just so, like, I just want to say, whoa, 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 just take a step back. Just stop shoving it in my face, please. Please go away. So yeah, I think a large part of it is just the fact that the annoyance of them shoving it and the lack of intelligence, the lack of it connecting to anything, the lack of cleverness, I think is really what dampers a lot of commercials nowadays and what makes them so, so worth watching. Um, and uh, and there's also just seems to be a lack of creativity, because they don't tie things together that would make sense. Like, what does a pig have to do with insurance? I mean, what does even a gecko have to? I know it's it's a gecko, but and your name's Geico, but still, I mean, and the Aflac with the duck, just it's so dumb. I don't understand, like, why does it have to be a duck? Why can't is it just because ducks sound like they say Aflac when they talk? Is that it? And oh my, that it's just not, again, it just doesn't have any sensible creativity to it. I would understand if it tied into something. Like, let's say, perfect example being the company that I work for. They have a anti-hacking device. Now, this device again provides protection against hackers. So basically, it's acting as sort of a hero and a defense against intruders, against bad guys. A perfect symbol for that would be a superhero. Titan is a superhero. That could be a logo. That would make sense. But, putting in things that don't tie into anything that you're really selling just doesn't seem, it just doesn't, again, it's not intelligent. It doesn't have, it's not clever. So I think that's just something that I noticed in a lot of these efforts to make commercials. Is they just don't provide any semblance of creativity, or they're not funny. They don't try to be funny with what they're selling. And I think there's a lot of PC-ness to a lot of commercials. Like, yeah, we don't want to, try to, blur the lines here, and then you don't get anything entertaining or funny, So I think that's another huge problem too, that commercials have, and that's probably works against commercials a little bit. And I think, what kind of just upsets me about a lot of these commercials is, again, that there's so much to make. I mean, you can chop down the amount of how much it needs to make a commercial. I mean, spending millions upon millions and bajillions of dollars on this stuff, I really think is sort of again, it is kind of a detriment to those companies who aren't able to really advertise as extensively. I mean, it's really not fair to them, because, I mean, they can't even get ads up on a billboard because they just don't have the funds to do it. And you see all these commercials that are out and that are famous, and you go, how is this possible? You're not even willing to give other people a shot. It's like you're just willing to give these people a shot and make millions off of something that has no quality to it, and it's just an annoyance. And also, I think the repetitiveness too of commercials is something that also contributes to my annoyance of them. I mean, if you're not only are you shown the commercial, but if you're shown the commercial multiple upon multiple upon multiple times, it just gets so annoying. It's so frustrating to watch and just sit there and just be like, when is the show going to come back? Please, please. Okay, please come back. So yeah, I think that's just something that I think really just is cringeworthy about a lot of them, especially if they're the annoying ones and they are the really dumb ones. Like if they repeat themselves over and over again, make another commercial or at least make multiple ones, multiple smaller ones that don't need such an excessive budget and then make those and have some variety. Like there's so lack of variety nowadays in a lot of commercials. I mean, there's no personality and yeah, it falls flat a lot of the time. um, but I think commercials are definitely going to see a change um, because now that we have DVR, or at least some people have access to DVR where they can record the shows that they want to watch and then watch them later and go through and forward all of the commercials. That's going to, I think, be a really difficult time for commercials to be showcased in that format. Um, and also the internet, with YouTube, you can skip a lot of the ads that are on nowadays. So again, I think that's what's going to make a lot of the it's what's going to make a lot of the commercials sort of not exist a lot of the time, or when they do, they exist in either random places or they'll exist within television and within movies, which again is a marketing term that I learned in school called stealth marketing, where you're not directly marketing the product, but you're showcasing the product. Some people don't like really product placement within television um, and movies, but I actually definitely prefer that over watching a ton of commercials. Just to get back to the thing that I was watching, I think I would definitely rather have, people who want to have a product showcased, have it showcased within the show somehow, or showcased within the um, within the movie. And then the movie could tie into kind of what your product is doing. Like if the product centers around food, you can show people going to a place that actually has food. Like you can actually show them going to a Taco Bell or another restaurant, In-N-Out, something like that. And that actually I think would be actually really cool because it's realistic. Like it takes you, it's not like it's selling you something that doesn't exist. Um, and I think that would really work. And the thing is too is with television as well as with movies, it's all based within demographics, like what demographics are watching these kinds of shows, movies, and etc. And if you put them in the right places, then your demographics are gonna be invested into the product or whatever you're trying to pitch. And you can make your own videos on the side. Even on YouTube, you can make your own sort of commercials and things like that on the side. um, and I think there is a way to do commercials, and I think there are funny and clever ways to do it. I just think a lot of the time you have these ones where they don't try to They don't try to be pleasant. They don't try to entertain you. They just want to try to shove it down your face and expect you to somehow buy into it and, you know, do it because everybody else is doing it, you know. So I think there can be a lot of intelligence that could come from commercials, but unfortunately, I think a lot of that intelligence is really lost. And there's not really clever ways in which people are trying to pitch things anymore. Um, and I think the clever pitching, if any, is going to be through this stealth marketing, through integrating it within television, through integrating it with in movies. And I honestly don't mind that at all. I mean, I don't, again, just as long as they don't pause in the middle of the show and say, get your blah 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 for so and so much, you know, if they're just subtly going just suddenly going to a place that exists, or they're going to a store that exists, that doesn't bother me. In fact, that's a realistic, you know, way of looking at it. And people will buy into it because people, you know, oh, that character's going into that store. Maybe I should check that out. I always like what he or she is wearing. You know, that's what'll sell it. So, yeah, I just think the traditional way of thinking of it, of integrating commercials within television, will drastically change, I guess, over the years. Um, and and I think it'll be all for the betterment. And if commercials are showcased, they are showcased, you know, either on the website or they're showcased on YouTube, you know, places like that. I think you're seeing a lot of channels popping up now and again of things, and that's largely part of my job, is to make the YouTube channel for uh, a company that I work for. So again, that's really at the heart of, I think, um, where these things lie. I think all commercials need to start doing is be a little bit more creative, be a little bit smarter, and then have um, they'll have money, and they'll see a lot of significant sales. And again, then you don't have to have constantly someone out there, you know, bombarding somebody with this product or this thing. You know, people can just come to you. And I think if more people start coming to the companies as opposed to the other way around, it's probably better, and it probably suits the market, because really it's the market, it's the people that really are supposed to control the businesses. They're supposed to be the ones who decide whether a business fails or succeeds. You know, that's the customers, really. I mean, at the end of the day. So, yeah. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about this topic. I mean, there are a lot of commercials that I just find that don't have any sense of creativity, or, you know, they just don't try, and they don't put in effort, and they often end up being like a really bad Adam Sandler movie. Luckily, they're a lot shorter than a bad Adam Sandler movie, but again, you know, they kind of have a similar obnoxiousness to them. They try to dumb things down just for the sake of, you know, just dumbing things down, because people like dumb stuff, right? You know, so that's um, I think the major issues that I have with them. I mean, not every commercial I'm saying has to be a masterpiece, but I think there should be a lot more effort and care put into them. And I think more care and effort will be put into them once it starts being sort of integrated into television and also within movies. But yeah, I think that's really all I can say about this topic. But again, any questions, comments, concerns, be more than happy to answer them. I know there's probably tons of people out there who have different opinions than I do in regards to this topic, but I thought it would just be an interesting thing to discuss, because, man, do they bother me. But until next time, everybody.